Japanese version.
Yeah.
I copy from some people. No, because Japanese people, they play this deck and they sing.
Yeah, really, man.
Yeah.
You sing what?
Yeah. They go hala hala. Wee! No, why? It sounds stupid.
What's up guys, Card Protagonist here, and today I'll be doing a deck profile on the Black Dragon who made it top 8 in the Bushiroad Championship Series Finals at Japan UDX. It's a great honor for me to do an interview with his Buddyfighter, but his name I shall not name for reasons. The Black Dragon deck is a very underrated deck in the meta, and it actually made it top 8 with excellent results. So this deck made it second place in the Swiss rounds, which means it only lost once to the top card player. And in the top 8, what you lost to be a bad hand?
No, because he
MAT
starts
goes second.
MT go second.
You got FTK'd! Because he starts second. If it was MT, he starts second.
Alright.
No, top 8, he lose.
Top 8 is second. They loyalty.
Yeah, second.
And for the top 8, he started second and got loyalty, so he didn't have enough advantage to farm up. And the opponent was only left with 3 cards, so it was an extremely close game. It was a 2-1 point game. So it is actually one of the best performing Black Dragon decks out there. So without further ado, let's get started with the deck profile. For the buddy, use Dare Barrack because you always want to call Dare Barrack, and he allows you to just look top 3 and add 1 card to your hand, putting rest of drop zones so you can actually tutor out later with some of your spells, such as the Impact. And the buddy is the Tasuku Berkutri Knight's flag, so whoever fought him, you guys probably know his name. Do you play this sleeve in the tournament?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, okay, so you sleeve this, so you guys will actually recognize the player. Yeah, even though it's mystery. Alright, so we play 2 copies of Chaos Dare Barrack because it allows you to tutor any cards you need from the top 3 cards of the deck, increase consistency of the deck, which means you'll be digging into cards that you need, so 2 copies. 1 copy of the Overturn Abygale, which allows you to get into additional turn. So how does that help?
Can mill twice in 2 turns because all your cards are
Yeah,
once
so
per
you
turn.
can use your once per turn effects again.
Alright.
And wait, you use your once per turn effect again, and if you use the Abygale, right, if you burn loyalty, they basically burn the loyalty because you can just take another turn to bypass loyalty.
Okay. So Abygale is very useful because basically it allows you to activate cards that has once per turn ability again, and if your opponent were to use loyalty, you can also basically make them burn off the loyalty because you get an additional turn and you can continue milling them. So this card is actually very powerful, but 1 copy because to join into it with this deck's ability turbo. We play 1 copy of Code 66 Xeno Chaos. This is actually one of my favorite gauge cards as well because it looks so cool and he makes the opponent mill. He gives you gauge as well. He gives you up to 4 gauge if you're extremely lucky. Both players mill 2 cards. If for each monster mill in among those cards, you charge a gauge. So if your opponent mills 2 and you mill 2 monsters, you catch 4 gauge. But average, you usually get at least 2 gauge out of it. So it's a great card. And it's also a Black Dragon, so you can actually use the Black Ritual to sack off. Alright, now we have 3 copies of Balsam, size 2. Balsam, when this card enters the field, you may destroy another Black Dragon. It could be set spells or your monster. If you do, you can charge 1 gauge and draw 1 card. Gloomy Flame will activate once per turn. So yeah, nonetheless, it's a very good card because it allows you to speed up the deck. Now we have 4 copies of the main engine, which is the Buddy Lineage Light Ray Black Death Dragon Abygale. This is an extremely powerful card. It's basically the upgrade of the Secret Pack previous version because that Secret Pack guy also allows you to draw 1 card. Cost put a Black Dragon for a drop zone into soul and pay on gauge. All Black Dragon set on your field cannot be destroyed or returned to your opponent, so it can't bounce, can't destroy. When this card is destroyed, drop the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck, so basically mill 3 and you draw 1 card. And if there's a monster among them, you draw 1 card. So here's the key. This guy has a Soul Guard right now, so on average you will be able to draw 2 cards and mill your opponent 6 cards. So it is a very powerful skill. It's not once per turn. So if you call multiple copies of them, you can easily deck them out. Now, we play 4 copies of A Short Repose Abygale, a classic gauge adder. If you set spell, you can charge 2 gauge. Yeah, so it's easy gauge and it's a size 1 with a nice beat stick 5k. You can clear some monsters. This deck doesn't deal damage to win. 2 copies of Rule of Battle Zone Abygale counter ability. So from the drop zone, you can, it's basically a Necro Gardener. From the drop zone, you return the bottom deck and pay on gauge if you do, 95 attack. So yeah, this deck definitely needs a bit of survival, so these guys are survivability. You do turbo in the deck a lot, so you'll be sending a lot of stuff into the drop zone as well. So 2 copies. Now play 1 copy of the Secret Tech manga promo Daredevil Crimson. Cost 1 gauge. He has Shadow Dive ability, which is not important, but it's insane Overturn skill won him so many games. So if this card is in a drop zone and your life will be 0, your life become 1 and you can drop a hand card. Call this card from the drop zone without paying its call cost, and for this turn, all cards on opponent's field gets minus 10k and minus 3 crits. So basically, with that, your opponent is gonna end your turn. This guy is the Burn Nova from the drop zone. There are certain times that this guy actually can steal you games. Okay, now we play 3 copies of Black Crash Dragon Vital Nova. You search out your any impact or any Black Dragon impact. So when this card enters the field, you may destroy another Black Dragon on your field. So any of the tutor units, you can always destroy it off. Then search for a Black Dragon impact from your into your deck or hand. Shuffle your deck. So this guy is very important because it allows you to search off your main milling engine, which is the Abygale Armhole Bringer. Or if you already have the stuff set up and if you already ran out of Armhole Bringer, you can also use the Bloody Operate, which allows you to revive a Black Dragon monster because this is an impact monster, so you can bring it back with this effect. That's why I have the gauge, which is not a problem. So this card allows you to tutor into any Black Dragon impact. Now, spells, we play 4 copies of Black Ritual. It's one of the best turbo cards in the game. Destroy a Black Dragon on the field. Put the top card of the deck into your gauge and gain 1 life and draw 2 cards. So by sacrificing cards that you do no longer need, you can speed up your deck. 4 copies of Obituary. So it has a card score of 1 gauge. When this card is set and you have another Black Dragon on your drop zone, you can draw 1 card. So it allows you to speed up the deck a little. When this card is put into the drop zone from the field, your opponent chooses a card from his or her hand and discard it. So this gives you a bit of hand control, especially if all those board control you have, your opponent will be losing a lot of advantage. So this card not only speeds up your deck, it is also destruction fodder for cards like Black Ritual, so that your opponent will drop hand cards and reduce your offense. Now we play 3 copies of Cages of Nightmare. This set spell makes your opponent mill 1 whenever you call a Black Dragon once per turn. Its second ability is also very important because it allows you to fetch back your impact monsters or any of your baby Abygale. When this card is played in the drop zone from your field, you can put 1 Black Dragon monster from your drop zone into your hand. So your main targets are actually the Light Ray Black Dragon or your impact monster, whichever you need. And also the ability to give you a bonus mill is also very nice. Now we play 3 copies of Execution Ground. Reason why is because the Abygale has the Soul Guard ability, which means you'll be getting a lot of pluses whenever you call him. When the soul goes into a Black Dragon on your field, charge 1 gauge and draw a card. This ability activates once per turn during your turn and your opponent's turn. So if you were to call Abygale out during the opponent's turn, you can also charge and draw, which is nice. When a Black Dragon sets on your field is destroyed by opponent card effect, you deal 4 damage to your opponent. So sometimes your opponent do have a lot of board destruction, so it could actually protect your set spells. But it doesn't matter much because Abygale actually protects everything. So unless it's dead, so it's a backup protection. Mostly used for the charge and draw. It's basically free charge and draw. Setting 1 on the field gets the job done. 2 copies of Chaotic Pain. By paying 1 life, you can mill 3 and charge 3 gauge, which is good because you want stuff in your drop zone and you want that gauge excel, which is very important because you're going to be paying a lot of gauges. Next is 2 copies of Darkness Healing. You may destroy a monster on your field. If you do, gain 2 life. If you have Black Dragon set on the field, gain another 2 life. So you do have a lot of monsters that you're able to destroy to core even more. Instantly gaining 4 life is very good, especially for escaping impacts when your opponent know that they have game. 2 copies of 100 Demon Sorcery Death Sacrifice. This card cost is destroy as many monsters on your field as you like. Draw cards equals the number of monsters destroyed. With a board full of size 1s, it's very easy to gain a lot of advantage because you get rid of those useless cards. Activate Abygale's ability to mill 3 and draw 1. And you can just keep cycling because you actually replenish your hand size and you'll be able to use more of those cards later on in the game. 2 copies of Devil Stigma. It accelerates your gauge, destroy a monster on the field, charge 2 gauge and gain 1 life. It not only accelerates your gauge, it destroys Abygale, which makes your opponent mill, and also it helps you escape penetrate because sometimes you really don't want to take the penetration damage of this meta, especially against a mobile aerial team. Now we play one tech copy of Removal Voice. Pay 1 gauge and call size 1 or less Black Dragon from your drop zone by paying its call cost. You may only cast your voice once per turn. It's very important because you get to call your boss monster of the deck, which is the Light Ray. And also in certain situations, especially during your opponent's turn, some of the opponents do get very greedy, especially if they're playing Lost World and tend to only go Lost World when they're low in deck count. One cool play that he actually did was to go into Removal Voice, call out the Abygale, and then, right before he actually wanted to go into Lost World, then destroy the Abygale with the set spell on the field, which makes him mill 4 easily, or 5, because there are ways that you can actually destroy Abygale and make them deck out. Sometimes you need to play around certain matchups. 2 copies of Body Block, just in case your opponent plays multiple attack decks. Counter, use one of the following effects. For this turn, next damage deal to you is reduced by 3. There's 2 different effects. In case a huge attack is coming, you can reduce by 3. And second ability is the main ability. If opponent attack 4 times or more for this turn, you not take damage from your attacks. So your first line of defense is usually the Abygale. If they refuse to stop attacking, Buddy Block actually helps you much more. Now for the impacts, we play 3 copies of Bloody Operate. This card is basically a wise move but in Darkness Dragon form. It's a Black Dragon impact, so it's searchable. Its cast cost is pay 2 gauge, counter call a Black Dragon monster, doesn't matter its size, from your drop zone by paying its call cost. So there are many cards in call with this card. What it's best at is because it is an impact, you will not be able to get spelled out by your opponent. So it's pretty much unstoppable. And 4 copies of Abygale Arm Bringer. Call cost, destroy 1 or more Black Dragon on the field and pay 3 gauge. This card is very powerful because if you're fighting against decks at Lost World, the gauge is very important. And during your final phase, before they go into Lost World, is the only key time you'll be able to not stop them from going to Lost World. So when this card enters the field during your final phase, you may put a Black Dragon impact from your drop zone to the bottom of the deck. If you do, mill top 9 of opponent, and put up to 3 cards from your opponent gauge in the drop zone and deal 3 damage to your opponent, and you gain 3 life. So you basically bring the game around. This card definitely needs a bit of setup, but once you get it set up, you definitely will be able to control the Lost World decks. Especially this meta where most of the participants, or if not wrong, major or only 1 or 2 did not use Lost World, this is an extremely useful card against them. If you're going first with this deck, against most of the decks which actually requires gauge to actually accelerate, this deck actually holds them under control. So I hope you guys enjoyed my deck profile on the BCS top 8 Black Dragon deck that the whole world was requesting. It is finally here, and I really want to thank him for giving me the opportunity for doing a review on this deck. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy my deck profile. Peace out and love you guys.
Buddy